podcast focused on trends shaping the future of manufacturing. I'm Alexandria Bjork, your host, here with A.W. Schultz, two thought leaders with a passion for people and manufacturing. Today and every episode, we are diving deep into the advancements, sustainable practices, and dynamic changes transforming how we produce everything.
And now welcome Alexandria Bjork and A.W. Schultz.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Factory of the Future. I'm here with A.W. Schultz. I'm Alexandria Bjork. Today, we are so excited to celebrate and share a little bit about National Manufacturing Day, which is the first Friday in October. So in typical fashion, A.W. has done a lot of research, and we are going to share some interesting bits. We're going to talk about some of the companies that are participating in an open door policy. We'll post those in the show notes and tag those companies. A.W., what do you have to share on National Manufacturing Day? Thank you for bringing this topic today.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be something we're going to start celebrating every year. Maybe we put up like a big gear that's outside the house or something to bring attention to it. But if you're like me, I necessarily didn't hear about this for a long, or it's relatively new to me.
Yeah.
But you're not the only ones, because this has only been around since 2011. It was brought together by fabricators and the Manufacturing Association in Rockford, Illinois. However, since then, it has been recognized as a national day, and it was put into place last year, 2024, by Joe Biden, president, and it's being recognized as a way to engage and create conversations about getting into the manufacturing communities.
Yeah.
As you know, there's a shortage that we're seeing. According to my research, I came up with 2 million, but there are also some other research about 3.8 million jobs in the next decade are going to be vacant or being needed to be filled within the manufacturing community. So you might ask, what does that mean, National Manufacturing Day? Well, a lot of companies, almost about 1,600 manufacturers open their doors. So it's kind of a day of tours to see what's going on in the community, bring some excitement around the manufacturing. So companies like Boeing, General Electric, Ford, Caterpillar, John Deere, Procter & Gamble, 3M, Honeywell, Raytheon. I mean, these are big companies. Lockheed Martin, Tesla, Coca-Cola, Levi Strauss, and the list can go more and more. These are some of the more recognized names that are out there in the industry. I kind of asked the question about what are some different ways we could celebrate National Manufacturing Day? Because it's not, to me, I'm meeting a few weeks ago, and one of the things they were doing was a luncheon for the manufacturers in their community.
Cool.
And I was just asking myself, how do you celebrate this day? Really, how do you bring it about? But after doing a little research, you're opening your doors to others to take tour, bringing awareness to local communities, schools, about how manufacturing can be a great career choice. It's well-paying, stable, and it's usually a lot of them are in your communities.
Yeah. So real quick, I have an idea for the podcast. Maybe next year we could try to tour together as many facilities as possible. It would be kind of a crazy task, but it would be kind of fun too. And we can bring the audience along with us, doing little snippets at each video and showing each of the facilities that we're able to go to. So we might have to put that on the books for next year.
Put that in the books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other different ways you can also have share success stories in manufacturing.
Yeah.
Host a panel discussion on industrial trends.
Yeah.
Donate to your local manufacturing educational programs. And there's some other things on that.
So let's talk a little bit about the workforce shortage before we dive into any other additional talks or topics for today. So when I think about the workforce shortage, I'm struggling between our 2 million and the 4 million. And I'm trying to, as we were talking about this to prepare for the episode, I was trying to think of what is driving that double what we've been talking about all year. And I'm thinking two things actually come to mind. One of them I shared with you. We all know AI is here. We talk about AI all the time on the show. I actually just brought somebody into the AI world yesterday, and it was very fun. He was like a kid in a candy store. So that was really a cool experience. But, I heard on the Joe Rogan podcast that the AI chip needs double every 9 months. So if you think about that, I think a lot of that increased workforce demand could be driven by the data centers to house the AI, servers, could be driven by the need for electricity, right? There's like those are typically or technically manufacturing plants that are manufacturing electricity to a certain degree, and all the components that support an electricity plant. However, it's extracted or farmed. And then the third thing I'm thinking about, I've been seeing a lot on international news about France preparing hospitals for war. We talked earlier this year about the ammunition doubling in their needs. I think that was something we had on earlier episode. And, even some of the projects that we're working on at the consulting firm are to drastically ramp up manufacturing for these particular clients of ours. Like they're trying to 10x their manufacturing. So I'm thinking that those kind of three potential factors would be driving that, stark increase from 2 to, nearly 4 million workers needed in the next decade. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as you were bringing that up, I'm trying to find where they came up with this 3.8 million. And
Yeah.
they don't, the site that I'm referencing to doesn't go into detail other than what you said. It's due to a need for high skill, high tech jobs that are out there. And everything you said, I tend to agree with. There is a need for energy. And
we covered that with a couple of people on the podcast recently, right?
And one thing I didn't realize, I just found out this week, is Texas, if you can believe it, is the most has the most windmills in any other state.
Texas.
Or they produce the most energy out of any other state for windmills.
Yeah.
Which is surprising because I don't see a lot of windmills where I live.
Yeah.
But with that need for energy is also that it causes that demand. So that's kind of where my thoughts are on that. And it's the strategy is one of the reasons what President Biden brought in National Manufacturing Day was to create interest into that kind of community.
Space.
And I got to imagine, and I'd be open for anybody who would like to comment on this, is what are some different ways to celebrate National Manufacturing Day, or, put up a special flag on there that says we are supporters of that. Because you and I come back from a background on it. So it's something that we kind of fall into. We kind of, I guess better said, geek out on that idea. And you want to tour all these plants out there, which would be a lot of fun.
I love plant tours. Like it's literally one of my favorite things. I'm fascinated. As a kid, I remember watching how it's made, and I was just amazed to watch the manufacturing, advancements and just how things are produced. So it's just wildly interesting to me. And I like to think that there's some other people out there like that. It might be also interesting just to, a lot, like I watch Survivor, right? The TV show, and its season premiere was this past Wednesday. And this woman was like, I never leave the city, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, it took me 35 minutes to open up a coconut to eat. And I think people are so out of touch with the number one, the luxury that we have, and just how everything just arrives magically at our doorstep, pre-packaged, pre-seasoned, very ready to go, whatever it may be. And I think by making the effort to go and tour one of your local manufacturing plants that's participating could be a great way of like getting a real sense for where the things that you consume come from. And the people that make them, right? Because I think sometimes we forget that like literally people are involved in making this water bottle. Somebody runs this injection blow molding machine to create this. There's drivers who are delivering this. Well, maybe not for long because drivers will probably be replaced pretty soon by driverless cars. But all of that stuff is really, really fascinating to me. And I think it's going to be a really interesting time for manufacturing as we step into this new age of technology. Do you have any insight or any ideas? Like, some of the people we've had on the podcast had different opinions about how AI is going to affect jobs. We recently had that gentleman on who was talking about, I think it's going to create more. I think it's going to create more jobs versus take away. And I've always had that opinion, but for some reason, the more and more I think about it, the more I question that. Like, you think about these robots that can change their own battery packs, right? They are having fine motor skills. I really do wonder what a manufacturing facility is going to look like 10, 20 years down the line. No pun intended. But yeah, what do you think it's going to look like? Like, do you have any idea whatsoever?
I do think about that. And to your question, and I go to the answer is there's no, as we had Paul on the show saying it's not going to take any jobs. And I want to believe him. And I tend to not see any trends that are going that way. These jobs are being eliminated. They're being moved. But when things are introduced, another job gets put into it. And I haven't had anybody either through discussions or through research that says that we've eliminated jobs, other than it's changed over time.
Yeah.
To your question about where do I see the future of manufacturing? I mean, a term that I was given a long time ago was these highly automated, highly sophisticated smart factories. They'd use the term lights out, meaning that they wouldn't have to turn the lights on because there was nobody there, but it was just operating. And as we had Paul on here, and I was amazed, like, you guys got to a level that you could remove your earplugs, because I always thought safety just like, well, just leave them in for safety. And I mean, I can't say I've toured a lot of automotive plants, but I mean, in the chemicals industries and the high-speed automations, those gears and pumps are still making lots of noise. So that's where I see maybe it just being like clean, a lot cleaner, a lot more automation. Sophistication is still going to be needed, but we're talking. We've talked before about U.S. manufacturing is different than manufacturing you might see in
China, Indonesia.
China.
Yeah,
a lot of labor intensive. So I see the U.S. as more skilled labor into it, and that's the push by National Manufacturing Day.
The other interesting thought that came to me as we were talking about this workforce shortage and what might be driving those numbers up faster than we can keep track of is maybe the need for medical supplies and medical devices, right? So those are going to be highly skilled items that are manufactured, likely a good fit for the U.S. Landscape. And you think about people, it's no secret, they're getting sicker. I mean, every generation seems to be sicker than the last, it seems, even though the life expectancy is longer. Dependency on medication. So you have pharmaceutical manufacturing. You have dependency on all these devices. Everyone I know is tracking their insulin and seeing what's affecting their blood sugar. So then you're manufacturing those devices. There's a lot more diabetics and just general medical advancements in devices. So I feel like that could also be driving some of this additional workforce need. But Before we close it out, AW, I think we should just say a big thank you to our listeners for staying on this journey with us. Big thank you to those who are manufacturing on the factory floor, and a big thank you to those who are pioneering kind of the next wave of what manufacturing looks like. I'm really excited about it. And I just think that it will be a constant state of transformation and improvement. But for me, it's also a little bit hard to imagine 10 years down the line, because I didn't think, 2 years ago, I could have Grok on my phone creating business plans for me. Like, if you think about Googling things, it just feels so analog now. So I can't imagine how fast and how quickly things are going to transform, but I have to say I'm excited to see it. So do you have anything to add before we close out?
No, I think we talked it out there. And happy manufacturing day, everybody.
Happy manufacturing day. Get out there on the factory floor. All right, we're out of here like finished goods.
This is Factory of the Future, and we are out of here like finished goods. Stay tuned for our next episode of Factory of the Future, where we're exploring groundbreaking techniques and behaviors that are reshaping industrial landscapes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review and help others discover the cutting-edge insights transforming manufacturing as we know it.